Alright, now let's finally get to where what we were supposed to do, which is line work. So let's go ahead and erase most of this. As always, this is just so we don't get distracted with the other line works and that, it might become a mistake later and we ended up not lining it. So I always like to erase once again. Since this is light enough anyway to see, I can go ahead and just, it'll be easier to line anyway, just because I can still see it, and two, it won't distract. So just erase everything. Not completely, just enough that you can still see the underlying drawing. So once we have that done, we can go ahead and do our usual pens. So here we have, let's see, that's not it. I have my pens all over the place. I should have kept them more organized. Okay, so I have my 1, which is for the thickest of the thickest. Then I have my 0.05, which is second thickest. Then I have my 0.1, which is sort of thicker, but not really. It's on the thinner side. And then we have our thinnest one, which is our 0.005, sorry. So we're going to be using this as our overall line work as our first pass. So let's go ahead and zoom in so we can see clearly on what I'm doing. So it'll just be the same process as everything else. Now you just got to be very careful now, because I hate saying be careful now, because that will make you nervous. But even I'm nervous at this point, because I'm just like, okay, well, I can't mess up now. We're in the lining process. Lining process is generally the hardest part, just because you want to make sure that everything's pretty much perfect. If you make a mistake, then some people use whiteout, some people use other methods, some people scrape the ink off. But usually I'm just kind of like, you know what, let's just go all in. Don't stress too much, even though I just said just be careful. So I'm just going to go in and just trace in the hair. So because I have a good understanding of where the hair is, I can easily line this. Watch, I'm going to make a mistake at some point with this line piece, but I'm going to try not to jinx myself. So once again, even while I'm doing line work, I'm still, grouping my hair together. I'm still making sure that it's not too detailed and not too simple either. That there's some strands here and there that we can work with when it comes to color. And overall, it's not overbearing. So once again, just keep it simple. And the simpler it is, the easier it is to line. So if you have like a lot of strands, if you just have a lot of strands in general, it's just harder to line because there's just more work to do. And once again, try to do everything in 1 stroke or a little bit more, maybe at most 2 strokes or 3. See, I kind of made a little mistake there. I should not have said anything. I could also fix it by just adding a little bit of a line here, just so it passes off as like a dark spot. But I can also darken everything else just so that it blends together. There. So it kind of mitigated the issue, but it's okay. So I have some side bangs as well. And because I'm not too worried of lining something that I shouldn't line, because everything's already pretty much very simple, I could just kind of go a little bit more free with it. Drawing in her ears. Drawing the fluff that goes along with it. I do want to add these bells, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just draw a little circle and then a little middle part where the bell is kind of connected with the other part. So I don't know what I just said. So basically there's like a centerpiece in the bell that you want to draw, and that's pretty much that, really. That's how you really would draw a bell. And then the inside, you can basically draw a little opening. So that's how you would draw a bell. Let's do that on the other side. Make sure you wrap the lines around the sphere so it doesn't look flat. Let's add the inner parts of the ear. So far so good. I'm kind of a little bit nervous even though I did that. Let's give her like a little headband of some sort. So I'm gonna actually, rather than make it like roughly, I'm gonna make it a little bit sharp. And then I'm gonna draw her headband here. And then I'm gonna draw some folds to show that this is connecting to the headband. There. So I'll kind of give some nice, decoration on her hair. And the back of the head can just be indicated. I'm also going to draw some ribbons here. So I'll draw one ribbon. And then the second ribbon can go elsewhere. So let's see. I would say the other ribbon can go behind here. And then we have the bow, the ends of the ribbons here. Once again, I'm overlapping so that it looks more, so that it just looks better. So I have one ribbon here that's kind of like a little bit of a cylinder. And I have the other side of the ribbon at the back. And notice how I'm not fully lining it. That's just an indication. So the more you do indications, the less work they have to do. But that's only for things that are far away. So I have the hair pretty much done. Now I need to do the face. I'm going to do some side bangs here. Now for the face, I'm actually going to make it a little bit thinner, but still pretty close to my original sketch. Of course, just be careful here, because usually the face is the hardest to do. I keep saying things to make you guys nervous, and I'm getting myself nervous. So, once again, just follow where you drew earlier, and that'll just help. If you go outside the line, then you're kind of screwed. This is why traditional is so much more stressful, is because you got to make sure that everything's perfect, and if not, then you either got to change it digitally or good luck, When it comes to digital, you can just erase and undo. Traditionally, you have a little bit more things to, things at stake, right? Here's the nose, which is going to be a little dot. And let me zoom in just a little bit more so you guys can see closer. Here we have the outline of the eye. Make sure that they're all a similar size. Because the original eyes looked good already, I'm just going to trace those. And another thing to do is that if you're unsure of tracing the whole eye, you can just once again indicate. You don't have to trace it the whole way. You just got to make sure that the lines just show that this is a round circle. So you don't have to draw it all the way and risk messing up your lines. You can just kind of partially draw it and then fill it in with color later. Here's the mouth. And once again, I'm just indicating so it doesn't look like a bold statement. So far, so good. The hardest part is pretty much done because you don't want to mess up the face. So, now for the hair at the back, I'm actually going to curl this a little bit because I want to give her some flair. And I'm going to layer her hair as kind of like a short, and then gradually it gets longer. So So I have one strand in front of the wings, maybe two. This is just for more of like a little fun experiment. So this is what it looks like so far. Now I might have to cut this video in a few pieces because this is going to be quite long because this is like a full-blown illustration. But anyways, let's just continue. So here's our choker. Here's our little ribbon, which we will draw two little triangles and then draw two inner triangles inside of it. That's how you really draw a ribbon. And let's draw in the ends. There. Can indicate a little bit of the clavicle down here. And then here we have the strap, which of course you want to overlap. And I want to add a little bit of a buckle in the middle just to give it some, interest. So I'm going to draw a circular buckle with an inner ring. And that just kind of gives it some more flair. Once again, zoom it in. Camera, stop moving. And then we have the strap, or the top, the midriff top, whatever it's called. And then here, let's draw in some folds here just to show that, there's some cloth over on top. Let's draw a little indication of where the breast is just so that it's not like, just so we can see the form of it. And, we're just continuing to trace these things, It's kind of a very, it's a very straightforward process. Let's draw the band. Let's draw a little bit of a ridge here just to show that, this is a separate piece of clothing here. Different material. Let's draw in the little buckles here. Or the lace kind of pockets, or whatever they're called. They're like, it's like they come out from the straps here. So let's just draw in some of these. And then let's draw a corset. Uh-oh, that's a tangent. That should not have happened. Oh well, we'll just ignore that for now. So cross, 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 crossover. And then the last one, which will be a bit smaller now. There. I should have made these more just simple circles instead, but it's fine for now. Oh well. Here's a seam line. And there is where the midriff ends. Now I wonder if I can like paint over this using my white gel pen, but I'll have to check to see if that works for Crayola. So far so good. This is what we have so far. It's gonna take a while. Here is the open belly area. And then let's draw in her belt. Let's draw in a little strap. That's what belts have. And let's draw a little emblem. You can also draw a little bit of texture of where the belt ends here. So there's like a little bit of a ridge. If you look at leather belts, they have this kind of like ridge area around the edges, and that's just to show that, you know, it's like leather material and it's kind of sewn there. Here's a little insignia. I would overlap this, but I did not end up doing that. But so far so good. It's looking good. Don't worry too much. If you make a mistake, then that's fine. If you decide to throw this piece away, then, you know, so be it. So here is the puffy sleeve. Here's a little strap that kind of binds it all together. If you want, you can even draw some extra seam lines around the puffy sleeve area, but I refrain from doing that just because it might catch too much attention. So only add a little bit of ruffles. You want the ultimate, you know, piece to be around the eyes, not on the clothing. Although that's why I should have made these circles more just round beads rather than, you know, rings, just because it might catch a bit too much attention. But anyways, what's done is done. So that's another thing about line work, is what's done is done. You can't really change it unless you have a tactic too. So here's her arm. And then let's draw some ruffles just to show where the glove starts. Here's a little band. Here's her skirt, which would also have some folds in it as well as it, you know, curls over. If you want to show, you know, some furry paws, you can go ahead and add a little bit of ridges or a little bit of zigzag lines, just kind of hint at it. So it has like a little bit of texture. You can even add a little bit of texture on top of the gloves as well. Here's little claws. And then for the skirt, you know, we're just going to do the same old, same old. Here's some more wrinkles around the crotch area because she's going to be bending her legs inward. I would say pleats are the easiest kind of fabric to draw just because it's so like planar. Like a lot of this is just a lot of just rectangular planes in space that overlap each other. That's easy. That's why it's a lot easier to draw. Oh no, I forgot some of the bell chain links, whatever that is called. Oh well, some other time then. Okay, good. Nothing bad happened. See, that happens. You know, like I would just somehow just drop my pen and then have a strange mark on one of them, on one of my arms, whatever, that I drew. That always happens anyway. I'm kind of used to this at this point. So let's draw in her wings. It's a good thing that this is not a thick pen, or else I would have been screwed. So here is the other paw. And if I want to draw the paw pads, I want to overlap that. So I want to make sure that that kind of sticks out. And I'm kind of indicating where the fur is, so I'm kind of making little bits of texture on top. And once again, the paw pad. And once again, if you didn't notice already, it's kind of fulfilling this kind of circular shape. So keep it round. So, you know, it's, once again, it's a 3D form, so. Here's the bottom pad. If you want to add some 3D shapes to it, you can add some marks to show the form. And here we have the ruffles. So we're getting pretty close. I think I will stop soon when it comes to this video because it's quite long now. But I'm going to still go ahead and see how far I can make it. Here we have the elbow, which will kind of taper at the end. Make sure don't make it like a complete point. It has a bone at the end, so you kind of want to just indicate that there's a joint there. So it's not sharp, it's a rounded point. So that is our, so far what we have. I'm going to add the other wing here, and I think I will stop. Let me see how far we have left. We're 21 minutes in. We still can draw some more. Here's some more hair that I want to draw in. We're almost done. Maybe I will finish off with the legs and then I will end it there unless my memory starts dying on me. So let's draw in our leg. Here is where the knee goes back. Here, let's draw in her cat-like leggings. And once again, you want to wrap this around like a cylinder. Here we have the little circles and the little mouth, and then little whiskers. We might end up filling this with black anyway, so, and we might end up drawing over the white parts with a white gel pen, but it's just there. We're almost done. And since she has some platform boots, I want to kind of just show where it starts. So here is where the boot starts. There's some wrinkles as it goes back into space. And then let's draw a little bit of a corset, because why not? There. And let's draw some beads. And then here we have our platform boot. I want to draw some grooves just to give it some texture. You can draw some of the form here as well. And let's see, where are we now? I think we're almost done here. Let's draw in the other side here. So we have the other groove. This is the heel area. And then this is where the platform is. Once again, treat it like a little cylinder and have it go back into space. Anyways, that's it for this video. This looks pretty good so far. We will go and continue on with the same pen, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.